Hey freight agents, are you tired of being held back? Since 2012, Tallgrass Freight has built a proven track record at the top-tier independent freight agent network, and we're just getting started. Here, our agents get the best of both worlds, the freedom to be true entrepreneurs paired with the full support of a company that has their back, uncapped commission, zero territory restrictions, and a world-class back office. At Tallgrass, you're never just a number. You're part of a network that values independence, celebrates success, and invests in your future. Whether you're a solo agent or leading a team, Tallgrass gives you the tools, transparency, and flexibility to grow your business on your terms. No corporate red tape, no micromanaging, just freedom, support, and unlimited potential. To join our team, visit tallgrassfreight.com/podcast. That's tallgrassfreight.com/podcast. Welcome to the Recruiting Stories Podcast, where we celebrate recruiting by exploring the stories of leaders and top performers by digging into their stories and understanding how recruiting has impacted their journey and their success. All right, everybody, welcome to the next edition of the Recruiting Stories Podcast. I'm thrilled to have Carmelo Messina, VP of Sales with 123 Loadboard. Carmelo, welcome, man.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Super excited to jump on this, and I know we talked about it a couple weeks ago, and haven't stopped thinking about it since. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. So Carmelo and I actually met at the Broker Carrier Summit in Kansas City. Casey is my stomping ground, and it was great to connect with him and a bunch of other people up there. And one of the things that we found and we shared in common, we were both former football players, former athletes, and had some good war stories to share there. So I thought it'd be fun to jump in and kind of talk a little bit about that, how he landed in freight and transportation, and kind of go from there. So before we go there, because I want to talk about your recruiting story, tell me a little bit about like a 123 Loadboard. For those who are not familiar, who are you guys and what do you guys do?
Yeah, absolutely. So 123 Loadboard, we are a load board, right? It kind of says it in the name there, but we are a freight matching tool both for carriers and for brokers and shippers. So we have a large carrier base of 35,000+ carriers that are looking to move freight, and then we also have brokers and shippers who happen to be looking for carriers to move the freight for them, right? So it's kind of like the eHarmony of the space, but we primarily focus on the freight matching, building relationships between the brokers and shippers with the carriers themselves, and vice versa. So we want to help, obviously, brokers and shippers find good carriers that are reliable, and then we also want the carriers to find good brokers and shippers that pay good rates, and someone that they can build a long-term relationship with as well. So they constantly have freight to move and money to be made there.
Cool. Marketplace where everybody can win in an ideal world, right? Where everybody
exactly.
Cool.
Exactly. Yeah, we want to bring everyone together, build long-term business relationships, both from a carrier and broker and shipper perspective.
Awesome. Okay, very cool. So we'll talk about how you got into freight here in a minute. I want to go back to the football world, right? Because those of you who don't know, we have a former college football player. It was actually great because I saw you. I didn't get to connect with you at the TIA conference, but I was there. For those of you who weren't at the TIA conference, Transportation Intermediaries Association conference down in Phoenix, we had Brian Urlacher, who was one of the speakers there, and so Carmelo and him are both University of New Mexico alumni. That's correct.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah, both played linebacker, which is cool. Carmelo is actually the all-time leading tackler, I think. Is that correct at New Mexico?
That is correct. Yep.
Yeah.
But Brian has a much greater career in the NFL, right? So I don't think he that bothers him all too much.
Sure. Well, pretty cool. We got to listen to Brian and kind of hear his story, which was awesome. But Carmelo, obviously, no slouch himself. Two-time, I think, All-Mountain West, played for the Detroit Lions for a period of time. In the Canadian League, played for the Montreal Alouettes as well. So a seasoned and storied football career. as well. So tell me a little bit about that. Where are you from? New Mexico, or where are you from originally? How'd you get to New Mexico?
Yeah. So born and raised in the Chicagoland area. So yeah, I'll give
Okay.
you the whole backstory. So growing up as a kid in the Chicagoland, uh, you know, 85 Bears was still talked about even when I was a kid, and they haven't won since 85, right? So it's all the
Yeah.
dads that are coaching at Pop Warner, the 46 defense, 85 Bears, sweetness, right? So
Mhm.
grew up in that, grew up obviously a Bears fan, and then Brian Urlacher, he is the monster of the Midway, right? Leading that defense. The Bears always had a solid defense, could never get our stuff together on the offensive side of the ball. Um, so yeah, grew up playing football most of my life, with a few other sports mingled in there as well. But as I got into high school, started getting letters, started getting recruited. Um, One of the schools that I initially, committed to was the University of Illinois. So this is back in 2005, 2006. The head coach got fired, and usually, when the head coach gets fired, the whole staff also, gets fired, right? It's just how that industry works. So the guy who was recruiting me ended up taking a defensive coordinator role at the University of New Mexico, and I said, "Shoot, man, isn't that where Brian Urlacher went to? The Lobos, right?"
Mhm.
As a young naive kid, you think, okay, hey, if I go to the same school that Brian played at, I'm going to be the next linebacker of the Chicago Bears, right? Because like
That's
you're a
right.
kid,
Yeah.
that's like how you think sometimes. Um, so committed to Illinois. Coach came in. I took another visit to Illinois. The head coach Ron Zook at the time. On my second visit there, no one even acknowledged me or even like talked to me. I was like, "Why did you guys even invite me here?" Right? Because he was bringing in all his recruits from
Yeah.
from Florida, and I was like, "Okay, I kind of." Even as a young kid, I can kind of see the writing on the wall. Like no one's paying
Yeah.
attention to me, and I got all these other coaches, consistently reaching out. So even at I played at the All American game down in Disney, and even then it was like, hey, you get these schools that are coming in offering kids on the spot that even never even seen them
Right.
before, but because they're coming in. Hey, would you like to go
Yeah.
to XYZ school? But at that time, I already committed to the University of New Mexico because I wanted to again follow in Brian Urlacher's footsteps because he was a huge role model for me and for all of the Chicagoland kids. Right, everybody wanted to be like the Bears, and then of course they went to the Super Bowl, and Devin Hester returned the opening kickoff. So,
Yeah. That's
big
cool.
big big football fan, obviously, and big fan of that team. But yeah, a young kid felt that. I wanted to follow in Brian Urlacher's steps, so that's ultimately what led me all the way to Albuquerque, New Mexico.
That's pretty crazy. So that had to be a culture shock. Albuquerque, New Mexico versus Chicago, Illinois. Was it
Yeah.
as different as it seems, or was it pretty similar once you got there and started playing ball?
Yeah, no, it's completely different, right? Because in high school, yourself included, you're one of the best players on the team, right? And
Mhm.
then you get there, and it's like, oh no, like everybody's good, right?
Everybody's
It's like
good. Yeah.
you can't. There's no more of making plays on the backside of the ball as easy as it once was because everybody's
Yep.
fast, even the linemen are
Yep.
fast. So yeah, definitely different. A little bit of a culture shock too, right? You're going used to
Sure.
seeing green every day to now you're seeing brown, but you can't
Yeah.
shovel sunshine, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
that was the one thing that was a benefit is that Albuquerque gets sun. I think it's like 350 days out of the year or something crazy like that.
Hmm.
Beautiful city, people are awesome. Yeah, the culture is different, obviously from Chicago, but fell in love with everyone there, the staff, the people, the community. It's a real close knit community. I mean, when you're winning in Albuquerque, like the whole city is there, right? Like
Yeah. That's
everything gets
cool.
sold out. People show up. Everyone's bought into the cherry and silver. So
Yeah.
I also when I committed, they had went to a bowl game, I think, 5 out of the last 6 years, and
Okay.
on one of my visits, this is back when, players weren't getting paid, right? So, uh, I walk into the locker room, and I get to see all the gifts that they get for bowl. So that year,
Right. Yeah.
Oakley and, some couch company sponsored the, New Mexico Bowl. So they showed on display all the players were getting. They're all getting these Oakley glasses with
Mm-hmm.
headphones in them, and I was like, oh man, this is
Mm-hmm.
so cool. 2008, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
2007, five, somewhere around there. I was like, oh man, this is cool. You can get sunglasses with
You
headphones in
get
them, and
gear. Yeah.
you get a lazy boy. Like, oh,
Right.
I'm
Right.
definitely coming here because I'm gonna get these cool gifts every year because they went to a bowl
Yeah.
game the last 5 out of the 6 years. So I was like, all right, let's do this. Um, but yeah, a little bit of a culture shock, but as athletes and as human beings in general, you adapt pretty well. So fell in love with it. I loved that I could do all my training year round versus back
Right.
in Illinois, you got freezing below freezing 3 to 4 months out of the year, so can't really run outside and do your sprints, right? So
Yeah, in the weight room or in the gym otherwise. Yeah. In
that's it.
Chicago, I'm
Yeah, and
sure.
then
Yeah.
you're just getting bulky instead of fast.
So, okay. So you mentioned like there was a coach who ended up going to New Mexico, and that was probably the catalyst for you going to New Mexico. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it
Yeah.
ties into business very well too, right? Like people don't like leave jobs, they leave because they're either a bad boss or bad leader, right? Like I
Right.
was bought in, like this guy, um, Osei Lewis, who passed away, great
Mm-hmm.
human being. He came over to my family, broke bread with my family, had a family dinner with him. He went to go see
Mm-hmm.
another recruit.
Mm-hmm.
That recruit canceled the trip like mid drive. So he ended up coming back to my house and hanging out with us for the rest of the night.
That's cool. Yeah.
Like he didn't have to do that. He could easily just went to the hotel room and hung out. But yeah, him and my dad kicked it off. They were buddies. They were calling and texting
Yeah.
each other nonstop. So yeah, I followed him there. And believe it or not, after 2 years, he ends up leaving. And I was like, man, I just came all the way from Chicago to Albuquerque. Now you leave. Like, what the heck's going on? But
Yeah. Yeah.
it's by that time I understood it was a business.
Yep.
And
Yep.
being a naive kid, you kind of you start learning like, oh yeah, like college recruiting, college sports is actually truly a business before it was legally a business as it is today.
Yeah, no doubt. No, I mean that resonates for me too because like I can remember like there's two or three coaches for me that made the difference in my recruiting process where I'm like that was a guy that I could look up to, but I also legitimately believed cared about me, like not just as a player but as a person.
Mm-hmm.
And if those two or three guys, because I ended up transferring to Minnesota State, in the middle of my career, and but all that to say, like there were people who were catalysts for me, and I had a relationship there. And I just think it's so crucial, to have someone who you're like, all right, I know that person, actually cares. I can go have a conversation with them, good, bad,
Mm-hmm.
or ugly, and I know that they're actually gonna have my best interest in mind, and want good for me. And I think that's meaningful in business as well as, sports as well. People want to work for people who actually give a rip about them, and it's important to be a part of that process. So yeah,
100%. Yeah. I mean, even today, right? There's if you generally enjoy working with that person and they care about you as a human being, like you're going to go that extra mile. Like you're going to stay and
yeah,
work, make those extra dials, you know, run those extra meetings, stay on site if you need to. And same thing as a kid, like you would run those extra sprints, right? Because you don't want to let your coach down and
no
you don't want
doubt.
to let your leader
Yeah,
down. So absolutely.
yeah. You don't want to let your teammates down either. You got that
Mm.
trust and you got that connection that's kind of built in there. Like, yeah. I mean, it's important. Well, okay. So I want your take real quick on like the current state of athletics. Right. We talked a little bit about this in Kansas City, but like for you, you were kind of like, all right, my coach left a couple of years in, everybody today is like getting paid.
Mm.
And hey, good for them on that. And do you think it's a good thing? Do you think it's a bad thing? Like, how would you fix it? What are your thoughts on like the current state of like college football and athletics?
Yeah, I'll give you my raw opinion because I think about it almost every day. Because I was like, man, if I got paid in college, how much money I would make?
Right.
It would definitely change, change a lot. But I am beyond thrilled that players are getting paid, right? Full stop.
Mhm.
Like I'm super happy that they're getting paid. They bring in millions of dollars, and it's funny that previously before, oh, we can't pay them, we don't make that much money, and then now you see like they're kids are making millions of dollars. Like, oh, so you guys were making this the whole time, right? But you just didn't want to pay. Got it. Okay, cool.
Right.
But at least you're getting paid now. That's fine. Um, I'm not a big fan of this transfer portal. Here's
Yeah.
why. We talked about good humans and coaches and building relationships. You can't do that if you're only there from fall season to spring ball and then you
Totally.
transfer, right? Because what people don't realize, like you understand this, you're there 12 months out of the year. Like you're there during summer school. They put you in summer school so they can keep you on the field training and everything. So you have to continue to take summer school so they can keep you there coaching and putting you through all that. It's not just football season and then spring ball and you're done. Like, no, they keep you through the summer. They're training you. They're trying to get you beefed up faster, et cetera. So my thing is, and I thought this prior to the NIL and guys getting paid, is that if your head coach leaves because he has the opportunity to go make more money, then all those recruits that committed to him should also get the opportunity to leave. Otherwise, hey, you signed a contract with the school, right?
Right. Yep.
But in reality, as a kid, you're signing it with the coach that's been recruiting you and that's been spending time with you and your family. Like that's who you're really committing to. And of course, the school, you can get the education, you can build the relationships post college. You have that network too. Currently today, none of those kids are getting there. There's so many kids that have gone to 4 schools in 4 years. Like you're not
Yep.
building any relationship and you're not even really getting a degree because those credits aren't transferring, right? Like you're gonna have
Right.
to start every year, every university all over. My sense is, hey, continue to pay the players, but you should be able to leave if the coach that recruited you or the head coach leave, right? Because
Yep.
it's not your fault that the university came in and fired them, and it's also not your fault that the university didn't pay them enough to keep them, and they took a job, they hopped into another university that's going to pay them more, right? Like let's not fault the kids for that. So I think they
Right.
should have the right to transfer. But outside of that, though, if you are now getting paid, it's a contract. Hey, I'm signing the pay for this university, and if I leave or if I transfer, I forfeit, right,
Yeah.
whatever funds that was paid to me. So
Yep.
I think that's a way of fixing it. I'm not a big fan of the transfer because if you're a fan of the university, you're rooting for the guys that are getting recruited, and then they just bounce. It's like now I got to start all over again and find somebody else on the team to cheer for, right? So
Totally. Well,
um,
and I feel like those guys are they're getting robbed of an experience too. And I know like
mhm,
because obviously I had transferred once, but I also was my first stop for 3 years. And so like you you're robbed of like building something with with a team and going through a
mhm,
shared experience for years and saying like, hey, we're trying to build a program together and we're trying. And if I know for me, I've got like lifelong friendships that came out of those things. I'm like, man, are you going to build the same like lifelong friendships and experiences if like you bounce every semester? You know what I mean?
mhm.
Like, I just don't think that it's going to be the same. But to your point, like I'm happy that they're getting paid. It's like obviously that's great, but I also wonder if that the transfer thing has got to change. Like that they've got to put some I don't know put some boundaries on that because
Yeah.
it's just wild right now.
Yeah, and you'll appreciate this too, but a lot of the listeners may not know this that um so back when we played, like, you still got a monthly stipend check is what I think they called it. Um, and it was only for the number of days that you were in school. So I remember this happened twice a year, every year while I was there. In the month of June and in the month of December, you only got half a stipend because school only went to December 15th and, school got cut out like June 10th or 12th. And I always remember thinking like, how is this fair? My rent isn't half. I still have to pay a full month's rent. I still have all these bills, but yet now I have to go get a job. So like what I did, like work
Right.
security at events and stuff. But I was
Yeah.
like, this doesn't seem right that I only get half a check only because I'm in school, but
Right.
like my rent is still full. I still have to pay a full month's rent whether
You
I'm
got to
here
pay
or
a full
not,
month.
right? Like
Yep.
that's
Yep.
so like
Hey, you get
these kids
yeah,
now, yeah, these kids now won't
year
they'll never
round.
have to, yeah, they'll never understand that. But yeah, it's just it's always a funny story because every December and June I was like, man, I gotta go pick up some
What am I gonna do?
yeah, I gotta go pick up some gig work real quick because I gotta pay
Yeah.
rent. So
Yeah, I remember
um,
like pouring concrete and then like working for the local school district, just doing random odd jobs for them. And then like in the summers, sometimes, basically I would work at Lowe's and then, I would get up in the morning, go to weights in the morning. I would go work at Lowe's and then I would come back for like 7-on-7 in the evenings.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, it
Yeah.
was like 6 a.m. to like 9 p.m. every day. I was
Mm-hmm.
like on, just what you had to
Yeah.
do.
I mean, you're young, so you can do it, and then you also have to throw classes in there too. So you also had
Yeah, right.
attend class right on top of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's you're young, you're full of energy. Now, if I were to do that, I'd be asleep by 7 o'clock. I'm already asleep by like 9. So
Right, right. Okay,
yeah.
well, tell me about the transition then from like um, college to professional sports, right? Because your story, like I didn't get to like play in the NFL. I got to work out for a couple of teams, but like your story, I think speaks to like what a lot of guys go through, but is not the glamorous side that a lot of people see on TV. So tell me a little bit about that, how that happened,
Mhm.
and then we could talk about how that transitioned into your professional career in transportation after that.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So I think it was after, like, your red shirt, you sit on the bench the whole year, your red shirt, and then your freshman year, I started getting some playing time, started starting a few games. But it wasn't until after my sophomore year, I was blessed with the opportunity to lead the nation in tackles that year. So
Awesome.
I started getting some calls, some emails, and I was like, oh, like, hey, I actually might have a chance to take this to the next level. And I was just thinking, like, hey, I'm just gonna get my degree, and go find a job after that, right? Like that's, because I was just so happy that I got to play in college, and now I'm like, oh, like, okay, now this additional door is opening up. Let's
Yeah.
push for that, right? So, um, come after college, I went undrafted, signed a free agent contract with Detroit. Um, Went up there. So rookie training camp, they bring in, I think, 60 additional rookies. They cut that down to about like 13 or 14, including the drafted guys. Had a pretty good preseason. I don't know if like I led all rookies in tackles during the preseason, but regardless, had a pretty good showing. The 4 opportunities that I had, they ended up signing me onto the practice squad post that. What a lot of people don't realize is how small the actual NFL team was. I think they added a few more roster spots since COVID, but
Right.
you have 53 on the roster plus 7 on the practice squad, so the team is 60 players total. Now you have 53 on the roster, but only 46 can actually play in a game. So that means, when you see players warming up, 53 of them are warming up. The reason they do that in case someone gets injured during warmups or in case someone gets sick, blah blah blah. You have someone that can suit up. But whenever you look on the NFL sideline, you're always going to see guys just in the travel gear, sports gears because they didn't make the 46 active for that game, right?
Right.
Um, so yeah, very very competitive. Stayed with them for a year. Stayed with them for the second preseason. I think it was the third preseason game. I went to go jump the tip of ball, and I just felt a immediate pop pull in my hamstring. Tore it. Went had surgery. It was a small surgery, and then the day after surgery, I got surgery in the morning. The following day, they call me in the office and say, "Hey, we also lost another corner during the game. We're gonna release you. We got to go sign another corner to backfill your spot." And I was like, "Oh, all right." I was like, "Well, I'm going to be out for 4 to 6 weeks anyways. So let me go do
Yep.
this rehab work." Started getting calls immediately after I got released, but I told my agent, I was like, "I don't know what you want me to do. I can't do it. I can't even walk. I can't even use the bathroom right
Right.
now. Like sitting down on the
Right. Right.
toilet is
Right.
extremely painful."
Right.
Uh, yeah. And then by that time, the season's already in full swing. No more calls happen. And then he's like, "Okay, well, I'm getting some looks for you in the CFL." So then I signed up with the CFL in the back half of my second year with the CFL, stayed with them all the way through spring training camp, and then ended up getting released by them by the second year there. So yeah, that's kind of my journey in a
Yeah. That's
nutshell.
awesome.
Um, yeah, in my quick little flash of the NFL CFL career, which leads me to kind of the logistics world. There
Yeah.
was a
Tell us how you
time.
stepped in there.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's definitely interesting. It's sometimes you fall into the logistics world, or you get pulled in, right? And you just never leave, which is a good thing. I enjoy it. Um, but yeah, I mean, same. You probably had this feeling post your career, like, hey, what am I going to do next? Because
Right.
I just spent the last 10, 12 years playing football. And that's pretty much
Yeah.
all I know how to do is stay in shape, lift weights, run fast, and run into people. I was like,
Right.
that
Right.
doesn't really transfer to a lot of careers, right? So
Yes.
what am I going to do next? Construction was like one of the things. I was like, okay, well, I know a lot of people. I come from a blue collar area, so my brother's in construction, my brother-in-law's in construction. Everyone knows somebody in construction. I can go drive a truck and go dig holes. Like that's something I can easily do, right? Like use my body. But coming out of it, I was like, hey, like I also have dinner with these guys, and they complain about their shoulders and backs. I'm like,
Ah,
man, like
right.
my backs and shoulders already hurt. Imagine going
Right.
doing that too. So my brother-in-law referred me to a company called Fleetmatics, which they did
Okay.
ELDs into the logistics space.
Got it.
So fell into that. Absolutely loved talking with owners of brokerages, owner operators, and then also fleet owners. Loved the way they talked because it was I was familiar. It's like that's what I
Yep.
grew up with. Those types of
Felt more
guys and
comfortable.
gals. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, felt comfortable those conversations. They're swearing mid conversation, but don't mean to. It's just like what it is, right? Like they're
Yeah.
not
Right.
swearing at you. There's just like that's just
Yeah.
how people talk. And I was like, yeah, like literally, I know who you are. Like I've hung out with
Yep.
you my whole life, right? So like these are the
Yep.
types of folks that I enjoyed having conversations with. So yeah, did that scheduling, dispatching, routing, invoicing. Helping the owner operators with the ELDs and the routing, scheduling of the routes of the loads. And been doing it ever since. So 13 plus years now
That's
in the
cool.
space. And then fell in love with the load board because I'm like, oh, this is perfect. We're
Mm-hmm.
matchmaking. Like
Mm-hmm.
I get excited about building relationships, and now I get this help other people build
You'd be
relationships, and I
right
get
in
to
the
see
middle of all of it. Yeah.
exactly, yeah. So
Yeah.
and that
That's
was
awesome.
what was so great about BCS too. It was like, oh, brokers and carriers alike are at the same in the
Yep.
same room. Like fantastic.
Yep.
Hey, you need to meet so and so because you
Yep.
have you have a fleet of vehicles and you're looking for loads. He's looking for someone who has a fleet of vehicles. This is perfect. Like, it's like introduce you guys, right? You get
That's
to
so
play that
cool.
matchmaker and
No, I love
um,
that because it's like I was an athlete too, and so like for so many people, I feel like who've committed to like a competitive sport for so long in their life, you go down that road, you're like, okay, yeah, how did this translate? What?
mm-hmm,
And then when I think we might have talked about this too, but like it's one of the few things in life where like at the very peak of your abilities, like you're better than 99% of people in the world at this thing, you're suddenly done. Like no
mm-hmm,
more. And so
yeah,
suddenly you're kind of like, well, that was fun. Now I have to figure out how to make money. Um,
mm-hmm,
and
yep,
so uh, I know for me too, it was kind of like, okay, so what the heck, how the heck do you translate this? And um, when I ended up in logistics, that I always kind of used the phrase like it's a great mix of blue collar mesh point between blue collar and white collar, and that
mm-hmm,
felt like home for me in a lot of ways too, because it was just like, oh yeah, like yeah, I could talk to a truck driver. I like the idea of talking to the CEO of a company or director of procurement, but I also I'd go talk to warehouse director, manager, whoever, like, and we're all trying to solve a problem together. And that felt similar to sports for me too, because you go in to a football locker room, you got guys from Miami, you got guys from LA, you got guys
mm-hmm,
from Chicago, you got guys from a farm in Iowa, and it's like here go win, figure it out,
yeah,
go win the game, and logistics is very similar to that. So no, I love that you got into that. And yeah, load board's just like right in the middle of all of those things. So
mm-hmm,
that's super cool. Um,
yeah.
Good.
Well, I was going to ask you. I mean, like, because one of the things that I hope, athletes that or former athletes or athletes that are in college right now that are coming up, potentially graduating earlier, whatever the case may be, but or graduating right now, right? Um, is that like, hey, like your raw talents will transition to a career. You just don't know what that career is yet, right? Like, you're coachable. That's one thing, right? Because you had to be, otherwise you ain't playing if you weren't coachable. You have the raw talent in regards to work ethic. Like those are all
Yep.
things that leaders are looking for. Like they'll coach you up, they'll give you, the tools to be successful as long as you're showing up and you're coachable and you put in a hard day's work and you have that work ethic that every athlete has, because you're waking up at 5 a.m. for 6 a.m. practices, right? Like you're staying late, you're watching film, you're doing all these things to try to get better. All that characteristics will translate into a career. You just got to figure out what it is that you want to do. And I remember post Montreal, that's where I was struggling. I was like, I don't know what I want to do because, like I got, obviously got the talent. I can work hard. I'm a hard worker. I'm willing to bet on myself. It's just like, what is it that I want to do next? And don't panic. It's going to come to you. Because I went through that little spiral of like, okay, what do I do next? All I've ever known is football. And I was making good money. Now I'm not making anything, and I don't know what to do next, right? So it's like, don't panic. It's going to come to you. Don't worry.
That's such good advice too. Is just to kind of like lean in on those attributes that got you there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like if you're giving advice to that, that young student athlete or whoever who's out there who's making that transition, like what great advice to be like, hey, what got you here will also help you get to that next level in your career, but you need to be open to like, hey, maybe you need to find a new sport to play, right? So maybe that's sports logistics, maybe that's sports construction, maybe that's sports technology sales, whatever it is, you need to put yourself in there. And just like you said, hey, you know what, I know for me it was just like, hey, I'm going to do the work. I am going to get up at 6 a.m. I am going to, make sure that the playbook is studied and memorized. You have to do the same thing and not be like 1 foot in and 1 foot out. Because if you are, like, there's somebody who's got both foot in and feet in and more who's absolutely going to smoke you and make you look bad. My freshman year, you talk about everybody's good all of a sudden. You better put both foot in and figure it out, because they're the guy who's been there 3 years and he knows what he's doing and he's going to make you look like an idiot. Right?
Yeah.
So
exactly.
You got to jump in and go. Oh, that's good. Any other thoughts you could think of there for like somebody, who's kind of in that position who might need help making that transition?
Reach out to someone like you, man, who has gone through it before, right? Look for people who were former athletes that was able to make that transition in a positive way. I recommend reaching out to you. The great thing is, at least what I've learned in the short term that I've been on this earth, people love helping other people. I also love helping other people. Yes, there's bad actors out there, of course.
Right.
You're going to come across that, but there's more good people in the world than there are bad. Don't hesitate to reach out. Like, use LinkedIn. You'd be surprised how many people you reach out to say like, hey, especially if you're a young athlete, I don't know what to do. I saw you obviously went through this, right? Because you were an athlete, now you're in your career. Like, what advice can you give me? And people are willing to help out and lead, give you as much advice as possible and help you out as much as they can. So don't be scared to ask. I think one of the things that a lot of athletes don't do is ask, because they're like, screw it, I'll go do it myself. I'll go run those sprints. I'll go run that hill. I'll go watch film on my own, like, type of mentality, which is good to have. But when you're transitioning and you've never done it before, reach out, ask for help, right? Just like how you ask for your coach to give you more coaching or more tips. Don't be hesitant to reach out to the strangers that you've seen have already gone down this path ahead of you. You'd be surprised how many people are generally willing to help.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah, if you haven't played the sport, you're gonna need help learning, what to do and how to use your skill set to succeed. And truly, a lot of people do want to help. And just like sports, like you're gonna suck at it when you start. And
absolutely.
But if you've been an athlete who's decent at any level, like, that, like, all right, I'm gonna suck at it for a moment, but the more reps you get, the better you're going to get at it, and you'll be good eventually, at least competitive. So that's good. Okay, tell me then about 1-2-3 load board, right? There's, and talk about competition, right? There's other load boards in the market, right? What's the difference between 1-2-3 load board and another load board in the market? Why 1-2-3 load board? Should someone consider them? And maybe what drew you and attracted you to them over anything else?
Yeah. So I'll talk a little bit more about the differentiation between us and some of the other boards that are out there. Um, as from a carrier and broker perspective, I can tell you this: you're not going to get nickeled and dimed on our board that other boards definitely do, and the
Mhm.
people that use a low board know exactly what I'm talking about. So that's one. Again, we're generally in the business to help others succeed. And I don't feel that if that's your true mission and you want to help others succeed, you shouldn't nickel and dime them to death on the
Yeah,
back end.
yeah,
So that's one. Two is, when I talk to carriers, like I don't tell them to have one load board and that be it, right? Like you should have one to two, and the reason for that is that uh, our board and their board are going to have different brokers and different shippers on it. We're going to have different volumes in different regions than they do. They're going to, and same for them versus us, right? At the end of the day, you want to have access to as many loads as possible from a carrier perspective, to make sure that you're not deadheading, to make sure that you're getting the best rate per mile that you can, and then also from a broker standpoint, our value prop there is, hey, we're going to have carriers that none of the other load boards do because one, we have a lower price point, a lower barrier of entry for carriers to get onto the board and start learning. Two, we're also helping a lot of those carriers, new authority carriers or younger authority carriers, find loads to help get those wheels turning. So this way they do hit the threshold for you. So they do get some miles underneath their belt there. That okay, hey, now this is a trusted carrier. But again, we're going to have a different carrier set, different number of thousands of carriers that are not actively using other boards. So you'll get access to capacity that other boards don't have. And then again, from the carrier standpoint, you're going to have access to loads that may or may not be on those other load boards because, again, our value prop of not nickel and diming and being a more of a return, more of a value for your subscription with our board, that you'll have access to different brokers and shippers that again won't be on other boards there. But
yeah,
I wouldn't tell anybody, both from a broker, shipper, or carrier standpoint, only have one. If it doesn't help you from a business perspective, you should have access to at least two. So you have that capacity of two boards from a carrier standpoint, or from a broker's lens, from a carrier standpoint, and from a carrier's lens, the volume of loads on two different platforms there.
yeah, yeah. It's interesting. You see that a lot of that seems like it's as much as it is to help you execute, it's also educational to have
Hmm.
a really great load board partner, right? And what I mean by that is so many times people that I've talked to, brokerage clients of mine, or just even on LinkedIn, you see some people and they're like, oh, but like we want to create like long-term carrier relationships. So like we don't want to just be posted on load boards all the time, which I understand their sentiment, right? And maybe why they're saying that. But like one, you have to find carrier partners
Hmm.
somewhere first,
Yeah.
right? And then like two, like just to get an idea for just like you know um, pricing and there's a million other things that you can learn by being on and active on a load board. So to me, I'm just kind of like it's a must. Like you have to be there and be active
Hmm.
to create relationships, to understand pricing, and understand what's happening. And if you're not, you're missing out.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, logistics seems super simple on the surface, but then when you look behind the scenes, you see how complicated it really is, right? From a broker, they
Yeah,
got a shipper, they're sending out 100 loads a month. 90% of those loads are in the lane that you have capacity and you have no issue, but that 10%, needs to go to somewhere, in the middle of the country where you don't have capacity and you don't have enough loads to keep that carrier to keep coming to you, right? Like, hey, if only 10% of that shipper's loads are going to this region, well, you're never going to find a carrier. You're never going to be able to keep a carrier busy enough to only work with you, right? So you're going to need that spot market. You're going to need to be able to go there and say, hey, I need to find
exactly.
capacity because, again, the one carrier that you're working with for that region, he may be in Florida when you really need him to be in, LA or wherever the case may be, right? Because he took a high paying load somewhere else. So there's so many moving parts within the logistics space. That's why the freight matching side of things from a load board provides so much value to both parties, right? Because hey, if you sign up for our load board from a carrier and you meet a broker that can fill 90% of the lanes that you want to run, then you don't need a load board anymore. You built a relationship. Fantastic. Like, I am
Right.
happy for you. I'm not mad that you canceled a load board because you built a relationship. That's exactly what we did our job, right? We
Yep.
networked you guys together. My thing is that, okay, hey, eventually they're not going to have a load, or they may lose that
Right.
contract. And then because you saw value in our platform, you're going to come back. Like, it
Right.
happens all the time that,
Right.
you use the load board as you see fit, from a carrier perspective, like, use it, build relationships. If you can get off of it, fantastic. But if you want to continue to use it because the spot market is accelerating right now, and you want to go take higher paying loads, fantastic. And we're here for you when you need us, and, use us as you see fit.
No, that's good. That's too good. Sounds like like to me, like an absolutely like necessary resource. And like you said, maybe just a tool in the tool belt as a part of multiple tools for a
Yeah.
great broker, and obviously for carriers there as well. Cool. As we work towards wrapping up, obviously we want to be respectful of time here as well. I always ask everybody, who's on the podcast, a couple questions kind of in closing. For someone like you who has, had a lot of success in athletics, successful career in transportation, if you look back, what would you tell yourself if you were talking to your 20-year-old self? Like, what advice would you give yourself looking back?
Yeah, it's funny, right? Because now I have years of experience. I think one of the things I would tell myself is just go do it and figure it out
Mm,
later, right? Like,
yeah.
there's so many use cases in my professional career where it's, you're always thinking that someone's already done it before, so you can, look to them for guidance. No, like, we're all figuring this out. Like, even people who've been in the industry for 20, 30 plus years, like, they're just figuring it out too on their own, right? Just the thing that you need to do is just step forward and go do it, right? You're going to fail. Don't be upset when you fail. Acknowledge it, find out why you failed, and then tweak it and repeat the process. Or, don't go down that avenue, try a different one, right? But just step forward. My 20-year-old self, I think I was scared to do that because I was like, okay, I need someone to tell me what to do, because my whole life
Yep.
I've been trained and coached to do whatever they tell me to do. Hey, Carm, go
Yep.
fill that A gap. I'm going to go fill that A gap,
You
right?
got
Someone was
it.
always
Yeah.
telling me to do it. So if I can go back and talk to my younger self, just take the step forward, go do it on your own. Don't be scared to fail, because I was, obviously scared of failure. Like, it's one of those things where you hate to lose more than you love to win, right? They
Yep.
kind of go hand in hand. Just step forward, go figure it out, go try it. Don't be scared of failure. And you're going to learn so much in your failures. And it's so cliche to say, but it's so true. You're going to learn more in your failures than you do in your success, because when you're successful and it's easy, you don't really learn anything. You're like, oh, I'm just going to repeat what I did, but that's not
Yep.
always going to work, right? So,
Yep.
yeah, that would be my advice. Just step forward, just do it, and then you'll figure everything else later, right? So, like, don't be
That's
scared
so
to
good.
go try something new.
I love that advice. I think like it makes me think back to some of that in my life too, because you were talking about like needing to be told to what to do and everything like that. And it
Mm-hmm.
was an interesting thing that happened to me was when I got done playing, and like my playing career was over. I ended up coaching in college for a little bit, but like some of the guys I got to coach with were former NFL players who were coaching at the small
Mm-hmm.
college I was at, and these guys were some of them were like legends, Ring of Honor type people for like the Chiefs or Vikings or other places. And what was great about it, obviously they were intelligent football players, but like they were just guys. And
Yep.
it was shocking to me that I was like, oh, you've got problems. Like you've got to
Yeah.
deal with like your family, and like you got to get your kid to daycare, and like they had stuff just like I had stuff, and it was like a shocking moment to me of like in my mind I was like, oh, like if I get to the NFL and I make millions of dollars, like all my problems will be solved,
Yeah.
like and then I see these guys who had done that and they're on the other side of it, and I was like, oh yeah, like you're still this normal guy. And so what helped me was exactly what you said, was kind of like, oh, all right, well, like they still have to take a step forward. I have to take a step forward. Like you just have to go and
Mm-hmm.
figure out the next step. Like you just jump in, learn.
Mm-hmm.
You might get kicked in the face, but like you got to keep fighting, and you'll learn as you go. So that's
Yeah.
good. I
Yeah,
love that
that's
advice.
that's awesome, man. Yeah, it's funny that you and I are cut from the same cloth. It feels like sometimes. Yeah, it's just yeah, man. Been right there with you.
That's too good. What about books? Any books that were impactful for you along the journey that you would share with everybody?
Yeah, one that comes to mind. I don't. How do I phrase this in a very positive way? Is if you guys ever listen to David Goggins, I read his book Never Finish. Man, did that make me feel like a lazy piece of you know what, right? It's like, dude, this guy just keeps
Yeah,
going, and like he's still like right even right now as we're talking, he's probably running 20 miles somewhere, right? Like I
ultra
was
marathon. Yeah,
yeah, that guy is insane, and it's funny because he was just like everybody else. Like you hear his story, like yeah, he was sitting on the couch eating fast food, like 300 plus pounds, working, a 9 to 5, and like didn't see a way out, and then just mentally just flipped, right? And then he goes and joins the military service, and then multiple times, and trying to get into the Navy SEALs there. So it's a great book to make you feel that you're not doing enough. So like I always think like what would David Goggins say right now, right? So it's like one of
yeah,
those things that's constantly burnt in my head from like trying to be a much harder worker, like tell myself like you're not doing enough, you're not tired, just keep going. But then now obviously been in leadership for quite some time. There's leadership books like EOS books
hmm
that I like to use and implement from that standpoint. Leaders Eat Last, and
great
a
book.
couple of those other ones. Those are all good. And the funny thing about me is I go back and reread books a lot.
hmm
So like I don't add a lot of books into my portfolio on a
Yeah,
yearly basis. I'll go
yeah,
back and reread it because I'm like, oh, what am I not doing that I've said I was going to do? Let me go back and reread this book. And oh yeah, I forgot this step. Right. So now I
yep,
need to implement it. And it's just like coaching and film. Like you should go back,
yep.
rewatch the tape,
You know
reread the
the
books.
answer. Go watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Go do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll put those all in the show notes. No, that's so good. One of those that I go back and read is Four Disciplines of Execution. And it's same. It's just like, oh yes, I'll go read it. I'm like, oh, like that's what I need to do here, and it like
Hmm.
reorients me and helps me figure out like on my process of how to achieve things and things like that. But to your point on the Goggins deal, like it's so funny in my world. So many times when I'm recruiting or helping people, like I might be like, okay, so what do you want? What do you want, 2 years from now, 5 years from now? And they'll say, I want this or want that. I'm going to like, okay, this job maybe will allow you to make that much money or whatever, but it doesn't look the way you think that, the role you want, but it'll still allow you to achieve what you want over here. And at the end of the day,
Hmm.
sometimes people will make these career choices. It's interesting from my perspective. And they don't have what they want because they've chosen not to do the work. And I'm like,
Hmm.
what you want is on the other side of a cold call. It's on the other
Yeah.
side of working, this job, even though you don't want to do this job, but to get to where you want above that, you got to do this job first. And it's
Yeah.
so interesting that it's like, to your point of all you got to do is just make the decision. Once you make the decision, you can do it. You are
Hmm.
capable.
Yeah.
You just have to make the choice. So that's good.
Yeah, it's the recruiting world is always a unique one, right? Because you can find the best candidate that you think is the best fit, and then out of nowhere, they ghost or go somewhere else, right? Or current company matches an offer. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely a grind. I don't envy that role at all. So um, yeah,
Preach
then
it to the
I'll
choir,
stick
my friend. Preach it to the
I'll stick in
choir.
my logistics bubble.
Well, hey man, I appreciate you being on. I'll let you get after it. If somebody wants to get in contact with you, they want to learn more about you, connect with you. They've got questions about 123 Loadboard,
Mhm.
and connecting there. What should they do?
Yeah, I'm active on LinkedIn. I feel like LinkedIn is more of my social media tool that I use. I have Twitter. Don't really use Facebook, which I need to start doing that again. It's just I feel like the culture of Facebook has significantly changed since my college years, for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can reach me out on LinkedIn. I think I have all my personal contact information on there, so you can find it there. Otherwise, just reach out to me directly at Carmelo.Messina at 123 Loadboard. I can answer any questions work related, And even if it's not 123 related, I still help people on the side, right? Like carriers, brokers, shippers alike, whether they use our product or not. I'm again on in this for about building relationships and helping people out, connecting people as they see fit. Like even at Broker Carrier Summit, give a perfect example. I met with a brokerage that's looking for carriers. The next conversation I had was someone who had 70 trucks, and I sent them an email. I was like, "Hey, you guys got to meet. I know you don't know each other, but you two in the Midwest, connect. Like, don't worry about signing up for 123. You guys connect right here, and good, so right? Good. It goes back to like, hey, they provided value. Let me go check out 123 later. But like that's a bonus if that happens. But it's all about connections. So Carmelo.Messina at 123 Loadboard, or you can find me on LinkedIn as well. Same first name, last name.
Awesome. We'll add that in the show notes as well so you guys can connect with Carmelo. I appreciate your time, my friend. We'll look forward to having you on another time. Thanks, man.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much for having me. Really enjoyed it. I can't wait to be back on the show with you here soon.
Thanks for listening to the Recruiting Stories podcast. If you haven't yet, subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. Check us out on LinkedIn, Adrian Chapman, and Cover 3 Consulting is our company page. Also check out our website, www.cov3consulting.com. Again, thanks for joining us, and we just simply want to remind you that you can change the world by putting people in a position where they can do the most good, and you do that by recruiting. Thanks again for joining us. We'll see you next time.